everyone, and welcome back or welcome to my channel. In today's video I thought we would go through my February wrap up and then also my March TBR. Out of my February TBR I got to 3 out of the 5. I did really want to get to the other 2. I just didn't have the time. But let's talk about the books I read in February. So starting off, I read Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. If you have seen the video, I did read the entire Magnolia Parks series, so they will all be in here for a full spoiler reading vlog, but this was a 3.75. And then I read Daisy Hates, which was a 4.25, 4-star. I'm definitely more of a Daisy Hates girly compared to Magnolia Parks. And then I read Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home. This was a 4.25. For 4.25. I did really enjoy this. This was my favourite Magnolia Parks book of the series. So I read them first 3 and then I was lucky enough to get the arc of Return of the Darkness by Laura Carter. This is my stunning arc edition. This comes out on the 18th of March. So as you're watching this comes out in like 2 weeks. Just over 2 weeks, which is absolutely crazy, but I absolutely loved this book. Gave it like 5-6-star rating. Again, there is a spoiler-free reading vlog of this on my YouTube. And then I read Daisy Hates Great Undoing, which was a 4.5, 4.75. This was my highest rated book of the Magnolia Universe series, and I absolutely love Daisy, Christian and Julian. And then I read Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, which was actually ended up being my least favourite of the whole series. This was like a 3.5. I don't know what it was about this book, but like the last like 200 pages completely took me out, and all I wanted to do was read Daisy, Julian and Christian, and it just completely took me out of like BJ Magnolia. So unfortunately this was my lowest rated book in the series. And then I read The Likelihood of You by Holly Jukes. I just have it on my Kindle, but this was on my TBR for the month. I gave this like a 4.25, 4-star. I did really enjoy this one. And for a video that's not even out yet, but I did read Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, which was a anticipated release for me. This book I was so excited for. I gave this 4 stars. Honestly, periodically each book in the series has been a 4-star upon my first read, but I did reread Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies before Map of the Other Lands came out, and that went up to a 5-star. So I do have a good feeling in my heart that if I was to reread, when eventually, because I will reread them, eventually when I reread the other 2, they will also bump up to a 5-star. And then I read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This is also for a video that's not out yet, but I really did enjoy this. This is just a nice, fun romance. And in this we're following our 2 main characters, Adrian and Lucy. And basically Lucy's daughter, Maya, calls the Baltimore's love hotline because her mum's lonely. So yeah, I really did enjoy that. This was like a 4.5. And I read A Dream So Wicked by Tessa and Joe Dat, and I have finally caught up with the Entangled with Fae series. I have been reading this series since 2022, end of 2022-ish. Yeah, I read the first book end of 2022, the second one start of 2023, and then I read book 3 end of some point in 2023, and I didn't pick up the series at all in 2024. And then obviously last month I did read A Taste of Poison, and this month I read A Dream So Wicked. So I am now caught up. This is by far my favourite book in that series. This is the Sleeping Beauty retelling. This was like a 4.5 and I absolutely loved it. So as you can see, the 2 books from my TBR that I didn't end up reading were The Rebel Witch and The Fate of Us, but you'll see them in a second. Let's talk about my March TBR. So for March, I put the 2 books that I didn't read in February because I do really want to get to them. I put them both on my March TBR, and then all of these other books here are, I got my friend to basically just choose random numbers, and on my book cart I then took those numbers counted the books, and this was the TBR she got me. So it's a very much of a mixture TBR, but first let's talk about the 2 books that we are moving over from our February TBR. So first one is The Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. Honestly, I was planning to binge this book when I got it, and then I kind of decided that I actually want to reread The Crimson Moth. So I'm going to finish the book I'm currently reading, reread The Crimson Moth, and then I'm going to go into The Rebel Witch. But I'm so excited for this, and I actually can't wait. So the other book that I'm moving over is The Fate of Us by Holly Jukes. This is the second book after The Likelihood of You. I did end up starting this. I got like 10% into this book, and I didn't have enough time to finish it. And then let's talk about the 6 books that are on my February TBR. So starting off with The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This has been on my TBR card for quite a while. This is, I'm pretty sure it's like a cozy fantasy. I think it's like a man who's in his 40s and he has like a cat, and he works at the department in charge of medical youth. One day he is given an assignment where he has to basically go to this, he must travel to an orphanage where there are 6 dangerous kids, and he has to determine whether their children have the power to bring the end of days, basically. But yeah, this is The House on the Cerulean Sea. I'm really excited to read this, but honestly, out of all the books on my TBR, I'm probably the least likely to get this one, but I will try nonetheless. And then I have A Tempest of Tea. In this book, I'm not too sure what this book's about, but I've heard that it's very much like Six of Crows-esque, and I have had this on my TBR for quite a while, so I also want to get to this. There is a theme with some of these books that have either been on my TBR for a while or they're new. The next book is The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Maherin. This book has been on my TBR for also quite a while, but actually the first fantasy series I read, first book series I read when I was getting back into reading was the Serpent Dove series by Shelby Maherin. But this is a spin-off duology from that series about 2 of the characters that are in that series, and honestly I've just been putting this book off because it has vampires in, same with The Tempest of Tea, and I don't know why, but I'm very excited to eventually get to this. Then we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I have said that I really want to read the Book Lovers before Great Big Beautiful Life comes out in April. This is the last Emily Henry book that I've not read yet, so I'm very excited to hop into this. And in this one we're following Nora and Charlie, and I'm pretty sure they go on like a trip and then they like run into each other. So I do really want to pick this up. And then the 2 newer books that are on my TBR. We have A False Start by Elsie Silver. This is the last book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. I read book 1 quite a while ago, and then I read book 2 and book 3 in January. So I did end up picking this up in February, and I do really want to finish the series off. And then the last book that is on my TBR for the month is A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. I've heard so many good things about this book, and I've heard things people like, there's not enough dragons in it. But it's not about dragons. It's a language of dragons. So it's like more learning about dragons than dragons being in it, which I understand. But it does kind of give me maybe Babel vibes, and I really, really did enjoy that. But this says that it takes place in London in 1923, where dragons sort the skies. But Vivian isn't worried. She's going to follow the rules and get an internship studying dragon languages. But by midnight, she's started a civil war. So I'm very excited to jump into this book, and it is very highly anticipated on my TBR. But that is my February wrap up and my March TBR. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.